What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Team Action Secret Headquarters. Another video for you guys. It's Schmoedown tournament season. We got a singles tournament about to start, or maybe it's just started.
Yep.
We've got a teams tournament going right now. And Drew and I have decided, because Team Action is not live right now, to come at you guys with a little bit of a ranking. A little bit of a ranking that we put together, we thought about. We were having a conversation the other day. Who are the greatest Schmoedown players of all time?
Yeah, it's been a long, ongoing conversation in the community for a very long time, and obviously it continues to change as new things happen, and with new developments such as John Roca taking the belt from William Bibbiani. I think we can both agree that William Bibbiani is not going to be on the Rushmore. I love you, Bibbs. Not going to be there.
And I think we can address why in a second, because some of you guys are probably diehard Bibbiani fans, and
we love Bibbs.
There's no denying the fact that Bibbiani is one of the only 6 champions of all time. So it's like, from that perspective, you give the man all the credit he deserves. He is far ahead of either of us in the pantheon of Schmoedown. But just in terms of there are 4 faces on Mount Rushmore.
Yep. And
who are those 4?
Yeah, who are the 4? And you got to take into consideration all of their accomplishments, wow, I can talk, across both leagues or all 3 leagues, all 4, whatever you want to call it, being a commissioner or not, being a commentator or not. Like, there's so much.
Yeah. So I think you take into account, first and foremost, singles performance, because that's where the most important bones are made in the Schmoedown. If you all-time great players, you got to win in singles.
Yes.
Beyond that, the tag team league gives you a certain amount of credit. If you're a player that's been really good in singles, but you've also been a tag team champion,
that's very impressive. Also, theatrics. I think theatrics needs to be brought into consideration. Now, that is one of the things that's very interesting about the Schmoedown Rushmore conversation, is that none of these guys are really big theatric guys, other than Bibbs and Roca, really.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's a few women that have gotten pretty high now in the rankings, the all-time rankings, that I think are worth bearing mention.
Oh, absolutely. But they're not. You got to have a belt.
I think
Clark, have a singles belt.
I think Clark would probably be the closest to a Rushmore position,
because she has 2 belts.
She's won the team's belt. She's never won singles. But
she never won teams with Mark. So she just won it once with Shire, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, okay, so interesting.
Yeah, so I think we'll start there, kind of breaking down the candidates for who would make the Mount Rushmore. I think Intergeekdom also qualifies, but we've never had an Intergeekdom player other than Rachel Cushing, really, who has been high on both lists.
So I'm going to say this. It's going to be maybe unpopular, and I do want it to change. I don't believe any women are on the Mount Rushmore yet.
Yeah, Clark would be closest, and I don't think because
Rachel's
because
right
of the
her.
lack of singles belts.
That's the only reason, strictly. Now, I think someone that we can both agree 100% is on there is Sam Levine.
Yeah.
Really?
No, he definitely.
Yeah.
Sam Levine is greatly underrated. I think that really, if you break it all down, Levine is probably the best player of all time.
I think he's the greatest of all time. I mean, you really got to respect what Sam brought to the game, and that was a new level of competitive play, because you saw him play against Merle after he'd won that whatever thing, opportunity.
The free for all.
Like, he did okay, but I remember that was one of my first matches, like, being there, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he challenging Dan?
Yeah.
What is he doing? Like, of course he's going to get his ass kicked.
Yeah, right. And so I think what's really fascinating about Levine is that he came into the game at a time when... So he came into the game, actually, during the Collider era. He began early there, and he played a few matches early, and he wasn't so good. He had a couple misses. He slipped a few times. He wasn't considered to be a particularly great player. He was like Brendan Conlon in Warrior. He was barely a 500 fighter when he's on the right side of 30.
But then he started to study. He'd show up with these, like, packets.
He has. So some of you guys don't know this because Levine's never publicized it, and he hasn't shown a lot of people this. I think if you asked him, he'd show you. Yeah. When Levine was studying to get ready for belts, he would bring these like stapled, about yay big, these packets
like cards,
that he'd make,
and they were like the top half of the IMDb page, essentially.
I texted Levine once when I was trying to get ready for my first singles run to do something similar, to ask him how he had done it, and he was like, it was a total pain in the ass, man. He was like, it was like a lot of Photoshop. He's like, it's a lot less easy than you'd think to make these things. And I gave up after like 7 cards because I just couldn't hack it. It was just too much of a pain in my ass. But he like really put in the time to get stronger in the categories he was weak. But I mean, on every level, Levine was great from a gameplay perspective. Yeah. He had great strengths. He has great knowledge of classics.
And he wants to bring more legitimacy and fairness to the league after retiring. Like, he wants to take us, and that was part of what I was talking about earlier, was saying it's not all just competitive play. It's also the theatrics. It's also what hand you play in the whole of the MTS, and Sam cares a lot.
Yeah, I agree. So I think who would be the best contender to challenge Sam for the title of the greatest of all time? Is it Dan?
The title of the greatest of all time, I think, is John now instead of Dan.
You think because John has now regained the belt a second time, he's won teams, he's stuck around, he's climbed back.
He used to be the entertainment in the league. Like he used to be the biggest character in the league. He's still a big character, but he's, I think others overshadow him. And also, like, he talks about it in his getting a little bit older. He's kind of like chilled in that sense, and he's more focused on the game,
which is so annoying.
Because
he employed it against both of us.
He did, and he didn't play the game anymore because he didn't want to lose.
But you know what's funny about that, and this is something that I've heard Christian kind of allude to before, is that I actually think Rocha uses that angle as a part of his strategy. I think the whole, like, I'm older, I'm better, I'm more well adjusted now, I'm not going to play your game, son, is a little bit of his angle to get to you. Because it got to me by he came in with the box, and then he was so calm, cool, and collected. Against you, he wouldn't engage you, which like almost pissed you off more.
I was just like, I just felt like we were doing a disservice to the fans.
Yeah.
Because we are two of the biggest names. We have one of the biggest rivalries in the whole entire league. I felt that we were not doing our job.
Yeah, right.
If John wanted to win a belt, I want to win a belt too. But my job isn't to win a belt. My job is to entertain the fans. So that's why I have a problem with it.
So for better or for worse, that puts you where you are and him where he is.
Exactly.
He wants to do anything he has to win. And I'm saying I actually think that his thing he's doing is part of his strategy.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
And I think that that's, in some ways, has to put him in that higher end of Mount Rushmore. I agree with you. I think probably he's ahead of Merle now.
I think he's ahead of Merle. I think he's behind Sam because to do both at the same time, you're kind of in the middle of it, and it's exhausting. And like, you're not out of it yet. You haven't won anything, and you haven't lost yet either, but you haven't won yet. And Sam won, and he lost. He lost to the Patriots, and he came back and he beat them. He was there twice. He beat us when we were at like the top of our game. He kicked our asses.
Yeah, it was
brutal.
His run at the end of last year to win both tournaments.
Yep.
Win a belt, lose the other, come back, win it, and then defend it, and then retire. Like, nobody gets to really say that he's not the best.
And Merle lost to me. And
that's it.
But I TKO'd him. I'm the only person to ever do it, but that's enough. That's enough because I don't think I would have on that day I could have beat anyone. I would have beaten anyone in the chair across from me because I knew every question that I was given essentially.
Yeah.
However, I am more scared of playing Sam one-on-one than I would be ever of Merle.
Playing Merle? So what's fascinating about
Sam's also better at playing the game.
So we can pretty much agree then that we think that Merle, Sam, and Rocha are the top three?
Really quickly, let's talk about all the champs. We got Christian, Sam, Merle, Rocha, Riley, and Bibbs. So Bibbs, 100% no. And as unfortunate as it is, Riley, 100% no. Not because he's not good, but because he just hasn't done quite enough, and he retired.
He's a two-time champ, never got a teams win,
Yep.
Won in an era. He's like the Jim Brown. He won in an era when it was a different game.
Him and Merle are very similar in that sense.
Yeah,
because Merle never won a team belt either.
Merle came in though at the like Riley's title was the first ever. It was when it was like a trivia show on the couch at AfterBuzz.
Yeah.
So half of his real acclaim there doesn't get discredited. It's just in a different time. Merle at least won the belt when he was at Collider.
Yeah,
and
Riley
then he
was
won
playing
it
with
again.
leather helmets at one point.
Yeah, exactly. Merle beat Rocha and Riley at the triple threat to get his to win it again.
And that was a crazy match.
And that's a great win.
Yeah,
that's very hard to do.
And look, I think then it feels like we can agree Merle, Riley, and Rocha, or Merle, Rocha, and Sam are 100% the three, and I think it goes in the order of Sam, Rocha, and then Merle.
Yeah, there's some days that I would argue Merle ahead of Rocha because Rocha's had so many embarrassing losses too.
But now he's a two-time champ.
And
so was Merle. And he beat me. Only other two-time champs haven't beaten me.
I will say that there is some part of Rocha's legacy to me that's greatly, but it's greatly diminished because Rocha's played so many matches.
So much.
And he's stuck around. He loves it so much, but he's been given so many opportunities. What if Dan had as many matches as Rocha? I feel like Dan would be not even in the same conversation. He'd be so far ahead of him.
That's actually a very interesting point.
I think Dan's a better player than Rocha by a pretty wide margin.
Knowledge-wise.
The only bad match I've ever seen Dan play.
Don't say it was against me.
Ever.
Don't say it was against me.
Was against you.
It wasn't against me. I played the best game of my life.
Now, if he had played a great game, you still might have won because you just knew it that day. But he played a bad game. And so that's the only time I've ever seen him have like a rattled game.
And
otherwise,
I destroyed him, and it was just because of that.
Yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see.
Who's the fourth then? Is it Christian?
So the other champions, Bibbs, Christian, and Riley.
Riley. I think it's Christian.
Because he beat everybody on his run back to the title, and he's the commissioner, so he gets to be on
He's kept the league together. He started the Schmoedown. He created it. He writes all the storylines. It's like one of those honorary ones, but also he's a fucking 2-time champion, teams and singles.
I mean, because the other people that you would have to say would be right there are not belt holders. I would say after those, it's Clark. Clark is like the fifth best player ever, probably.
It's Clark and Rachel. Like, who else? Like, Rachel is...
Both champs, both insanely talented knowledge-wise. I mean, actually, does Rachel go ahead of Clark? Because Rachel...
I personally believe Rachel's a better player than Clark.
She's basically won in her geekdom almost.
Rachel, both of them get flat, like shell-shocked. They both get rattled.
Yeah.
I think that Rachel has a better ability to control her getting rattledness, maybe just because she's so used to being rattled so often.
So let's say, okay, so if you have Christian, Bibiani, and Riley as the 3 champions that contend.
And then you've got Rachel and Clark and
McQueenie, because he's a double champ as a team's guy. His singles record's not that good.
I just have a hard time with people like McQueenie.
Yeah.
Not because I don't love Drew.
Yeah.
He just doesn't care enough. You know what I mean? Like, not that he doesn't care. He does care. You saw the roar when they won the belt, but it's like, Drew's got a great career and a wife and kids. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have time to be obsessed over the MTS the way that Christian does because he created it.
So then after that, it's like you have JT and Snyder both because
of the Patriots.
And they're great players and they're all-time players. But I think that I would put both of them behind the ladies.
JT had that great run last year, but I truly think for me it's Christian.
I don't think I'd put Christian as my 4.
Really? He created the league.
I'd give him the honorary slot because he's the commissioner.
But the Mount Rushmore presented by Christian Harloff is like the name of it.
I would give it to Riley.
That's biased. You're an idiot. You left the team action to join that fuck.
I give it to Riley because Christian's run... He was so badly dethroned by Sam, and his win against Dan was... Oh, that's the other bad match I've seen Dan play.
That Dan played, yeah.
So Christian had a great run. Like, Christian's a top 10 player, but he's also, like...
He's gotten 2 of the worst wins and losses.
Christian never...
In a championship position.
Christian, pretty much because of his role as commissioner, never went through the trenches in a lose a couple, have to claw your way back, I care more than anything kind of way.
Well, also because, like... You remember when he lost to Sam, everyone said he threw the match?
Yeah.
He played so poorly. He started to stop enjoying competing because the fans wouldn't relent. He couldn't win or lose.
And he was so exhausted because he literally...
Do you remember when he would spin things or like he would say a number and it would give him a category in his favor and he'd be like, fuck.
Well, yeah, because then he got like... That whole run, he had all those moments where he spun categories in his favor.
Yeah, and then he picked numbers for his favors.
And he'd be like... Fans are going to say I cheated. And so, yeah, I think for me, Christian is sort of like... You really give it to Riley? I give it because Riley's a 2-time champ and because Riley right now...
I kicked his ass, right?
Yeah. Riley's my teammate, and Riley and I believe we're going to have a belt. We're going to win a belt.
I actually think you will, too. And guys, 100% full disclosure, they haven't taped the match yet. It's at the Spectacular. Hasn't happened yet, 100%. You guys balanced each other out so well, and with being halfway through the tournament without, like, even breaking a sweat, it felt like.
Yeah.
I truly think you're going to win a belt, dude.
So
it's crazy.
If we win the belt.
Then Riley deserves it, I think, over Christian.
Easily. At that point, he's a team champ and a singles champ.
I personally, truly believe that right now it is Christian over Riley. Are we solidified in our answers?
You put Christian, I put Riley.
The first 3 are the same.
Yeah, the funny part is, too, this is crazy. This is insane. But I put Christian in like an honorary position, but I don't put him in the top 10 players or even like top 8 players. No. I would put both ladies ahead of Bibiani.
Yep.
So I would actually go Riley 4, Rachel, Clark, and then probably Christian.
It's really...
No, actually Bibiani and then Christian.
It's a bummer because Bibbs is a great dude, and he's a very good player, but he took a vacated title from someone that didn't have the belt.
And he's just choking so many big moments. And like he just...
And like, as much as I like Bibbs, the community just didn't like him as a champ. They didn't like him as a champ.
Like, he got rattled, we beat him, then he lost the singles belt.
You destroyed them.
Yeah.
You destroyed them. Even if it might have looked close on paper, the psychological warfare that went on in that match, Bibiani lost 20 seconds after your intro.
Yeah.
After your entrance, when he tried to like... That's the other thing. When people try to talk shit to us, that's why Roka's thing is paying off. It's like, don't play our game, play your game. And when you try to play our game, you're going to lose.
Fucking Roca. He's so fucking good. I
He
hate
is.
I hate
that he's good.
I hate that he's good at it, but he's like he is the second best player ever.
He is. There's just no denying.
I hadn't even said it out loud until you just said it here.
I know.
I hadn't acknowledged that he's the second best player of all time.
John, since we know you're already subscribing under a fake name.
William Bilford.
Sam, Roca.
Dan.
And then for me, Christian.
For me, it's Riley.
And for him, it's Riley. So guys, that's probably going to wrap up this video. So below in the comments, let us know what your Mount Rushmore is. You can let us know your honorable mentions as well. And again, we love Rachel and Clark. They need to get a singles belt in order, I think, to get there, or even just maybe defend the. I don't want them to defend the team's belt in case you make it, but they need to defend the team's belt the way the Patriots did.
I would actually say, to be totally honest with you, if either of them gets a singles championship, because of how much more difficult it is to be a woman in this league, how much harder it is,
and it's not because of the gameplay; it's because of the fucking fans. That's it.
Then I would give either one of them
the edge
even
over Merle.
Even though that it. Yeah, like right in that 3-4 Rushmore slot, only because like they're about as good as the third or fourth best player of all time, but to get there is like a monumental difference. To win both belts would just be...
It's so different as a dude to be told that on camera you're pitting out and you're sweating and it's unappealing, as opposed to like picking out a woman pitting out, sweating on camera. Like, it sucks for both of us. Like, you saw mine. Yeah. And now I can kind of look back and laugh at it. Rachel was personally attacked for something she can't control in a very high-stress situation. And, like, that doesn't ever end for them.
No.
So I think you're 100% correct in saying that if either of them do, I personally would put them in that third-place spot.
Yeah. I'd say, like, for me, it's like a tie. It goes like Merle right, like, with one of them. Yeah, but, I mean, we'll see. Like, the singles tournament, Clark is going to be the first matchup. It could be me if I get there.
Really?
Clark is who I would have to play in the first round if I win the gauntlet.
Got it.
So if I win...
She's your first round.
If I beat Janine and then Lon, then I have to play Clark.
Wow. Okay. And I'm just going to watch. I think, is that the wrap there?
I think that wraps us up for Rushmore.
Let us know what your guys' Rushmore is in the comments below. Let us know if you guys did due diligence, if you agree with us or you don't agree with us. Obviously, we don't completely agree with one another, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.